because one of the corollaries of this Protestant upbringing was that the Catholic Church was the Antichrist. I mean, it was, it really was the Church of Satan. We considered it.
In your particular, and you know, I hope that any of the audience that's watched the Journey Home program over the years realizes that just to say, what do Presbyterians believe? Well, there's no simple answer to that. I mean, there's a complete gambit from the most liberal Christian viewpoints to the most conservative, all within Presbyterianism. You were of that sliver of extremely conservative Southern Presbyterianism that not only did you assume the Catholic Church was wrong, but you probably heard it from the pulpit, right?
Oh yes, well, honestly, more from the missionaries, the teachers in the schools, the whole culture of the church was very, very anti-Catholic. I don't remember that many sermons from the pulpit specifically attacking the Catholic Church, but you didn't need to, because we would always have people come into the church. A lot of ex-Catholics would come to the church, and you would always ask them, oh, well, were you raised a Christian? Oh, no, I wasn't a Christian, I was a Catholic. You know, but then I came into the Presbyterian Church and saw the light. So that was the whole culture of the church, that you weren't a real Christian if you were a Catholic. And so that was the last thing in the world I anticipated. So I began to study the faith in depth, and I really fell in love with the study of theology in sacred scripture, and finished school, got married, spent 1 year in the working world, and decided with my wife's consent that I really wanted to go to seminary. And I wanted to commit my life to the study of theology. And truthfully, one of my major goals was to combat the Catholic Church. And I considered it my duty as an evangelical Protestant theologian to show that the Reformation was correct, was on sound footing, and that the Catholic Church was in error. That was my objective.
You would have believed then that if you would have converted a Catholic to the Protestant faith, to the evangelical faith, that you were doing them a great service.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, converting a Catholic to the faith was almost the highest form of spirituality I could practice. And I can remember being in a class when I was preparing for my graduate school, a GRE prep class. There was a Catholic girl in the class with me, and I found out she was Catholic, and I pounced, you know. And one of my great regrets is I think I persuaded her at that time of my point of view, and I pray to God that didn't keep, you know, that didn't take. But oh yes, we definitely wanted to go after the Catholics. And so I went to seminary. I went to Trinity Evangelical Divinity School, which is another one of those flagship evangelical institutions. And if you come from the evangelical world, there'd be a lot of theologians and biblical scholars whose names you would know who would be associated with that institution. And I studied my Greek, studied Scripture, learned the Bible very well, and began the study of church history in depth, and ended up majoring in church history. And my plan all along had been not pastoral ministry, but to go into teaching, earn my PhD, and I thought one day I would be a seminary professor or a college teacher, and that I would be teaching church history. And my main objective in teaching church history was to justify the Reformation. So I left Trinity with that mindset, and still very, very anti-Catholic, very anti-Catholic.